Hey everyone, it's Ron Johnson, and this is the Ron Johnson Show on Locked On Sports Minnesota. Aaron Rodgers, dollar value, higher and higher and higher. Why? I'll tell you why coming up next on the Ron Johnson Show.
Locked On Sports Minnesota podcast. It's endless Minnesota Vikings talk with the diverse voices of your local experts. Now the Ron Johnson Show. On the field, in the broadcast booth, Ron Johnson is Minnesota sports. He's played with them, hung out with them, and grown up with all the big names in Minnesota sports. They're hanging out with Ron Johnson. It's the Ron Johnson Show on the Locked On Sports Minnesota podcast. And it starts now.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Ron Johnson Show, and I'm your host, Ron Johnson. I want to thank you guys for downloading, checking out, being on the show. Remember, this episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, the official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more. My parlays, RJ's parlays, made the moment more for me. You're not going to want to miss it because there's going to be some first down, touchdown scores. You got to figure it out. Is it going to be Jalen Hurts? Is it going to be Patrick Mahomes on the quarterback sneak? Is it going to be Travis Kelce again? Can he go 2 for 2 on the first touchdown scored? I don't know, but we all got to wait and see. But make sure you visit FanDuel.com/locked-on today just to get started. Well, as I said in the show, we have to talk about Aaron Rodgers. His value in the market right now is going up. Why do you say? There's something that happened today that I think really puts Aaron Rodgers now at a premium. If you want a big-time quarterback to win you a Super Bowl in the next year or two, Tom Brady's off the table. At least for now, Tom Brady's off the table. So Aaron Rodgers now has even more leverage. The Packers actually have more leverage. It's crazy when you think about that. When you think about Aaron Rodgers now and Tom Brady, that was kind of the quarterbacks who's going to move. Now, you still have Derek Carr out there, but I think Tom Brady just pushed Derek Carr's value down the road. Like him saying what he did today really pushed him down the road. But I will say this, people. Remember, when you subscribe to Locked On Sports Minnesota, you're getting endless Vikings talk with local experts. Subscribe to the free Locked On Sports Minnesota podcast feed, wherever you find your podcast, and you can find our videos on Locked On Sports Minnesota's YouTube channel. Well, let's bring Sam Ekstrom into the show, my producer. Sam, it happened again. It happened again. Tom Brady is no longer an NFL quarterback for now. He's done this before, and then enough money, enough convincing, and he came back to the Bucs. I don't know what the dollar amount is that would get him back. I don't know if he's really truly done, but as of now, he's done. And it didn't feel calculated. Now, I don't know if anybody's seen the video, but you can go out there and find the Tom Brady video. So let's talk about the video first. It didn't feel calculated to me because, when Tom Brady put the video out, he has a whole social media team. And they are like drawing up all the like tricks and throwing the ball into a jugs machine and it throws it back to him. And he throws the ball in the jugs machine. That's fake. He's able to throw a ball all the way across the whole field and, make it into a bucket 80 yards away. That's fake. But this seemed a little real, a little raw, real authentic because somebody was walking in the background. You can hear the wind blowing. Like it wasn't like a microphone hooked up to him and all like lights, camera action. It wasn't like a long, drawn out, Peyton Manning, I think, did it one time. And Peyton did the video before when Brady retired, and his was funny. And so I'm guessing he's going to do another one and make more jokes about Tom Brady. But this one just seemed like, I'm done, man. Like, I just don't feel like doing this anymore because, he had an attitude on the podcast when he was asked that question, and he kind of said, when I know, darn it, he cursed though, I'll know. I'll let you know. When I know, then I'll let you know because I don't know right now. And you could tell he really was torn in that comment. Like normally Brady's like, oh man, I don't know. We'll see. Like it really felt like, I think the weight of the season, losing in the playoffs the way he did, because you could tell he was trying to wheel those guys back into a Brady type scenario and they just couldn't do it. Like he looked defeated on the sideline. He looked like, it just like the whole year, like he was mic'd up for a game and that got pushed out there. And at the end, he's like, man, take this thing off my back. Take this microphone off my back. Like, this is a terrible game. So you could tell this season weighed on, family issues, divorce, Are you going to choose your family or the game? Like all that stuff starts. He's a human being. And I think people forget that. Like he's been such a robot to us for so many years and such a statue to us, but he's a human being. And he's a human being that it probably like it's got to him. And so the retirement seemed really raw, really authentic, really like, I'm just done, man. I'm done. But again, 3 months resting, relaxing in Cancun on 3 with the rest of the guys, according to Eli Apple. And Brittany Mahomes tweeted out Cancun on 3 as well. But he's going to be chilling with the rest of the guys. He's going to relax. And who knows? He might get re-energized. And it might just take a call from whoever. Could be the 49ers. Like, hey, man, we just want you to play a little bit until we get, Brock Purdy or whoever back healthy. Like, just come for a little bit, man, and see how it goes. See how the first 4 games go. If you win 4, let's go win 8. You win 8, let's go win 12. You win 12, let's go win the Super Bowl real quick with the 49ers, Tom, and then you can retire. You're a Cali boy. But who knows what's going to happen. But I will say this. Aaron Rodgers' value now is up here. It started off here. Now it's here. Why? Because you could get Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, or Derek Carr. Now you take Tom Brady off the board. So now you just have those 2. You have Aaron Rodgers and Derek Carr. Of those 2, Aaron Rodgers, in my opinion, is better. So now all these teams looking for that quarterback to come in and really change it quick. Aaron Rodgers is your guy. But now you have to go to talk to the piper. You got to pay the piper. You got to go to the Packers. But his value now is up. Not only can he, because he said he'll restructure his deal. He said he's fine with that. But now that deal is worth it now. But also the Packers are like, oh, wait a minute. You can't go get Tom Brady, Jets. You can't go get Tom Brady, Raiders. What are you going to give us for old Aaron Rodgers? And so I can see the Raiders now saying, you know what, Devontae Adams, you wanted Aaron Rodgers. Let's go get him. Let's see what we can do with this. Darren Waller, we don't know if you're going to be here or not, but let's figure this out. Maybe Aaron Rodgers makes Waller want to be there. I mean, there's a lot to that. Maybe the Packers are like, hey, look, give us Waller, you take Rodgers, and then you can go get you some more receivers. Who knows? And a first-round pick or whatever. But they're going to have to figure this out really fast. And I think, and Darren Waller to the Packers with Jordan Love and those receivers, that could be a good marriage as well. That could really energize that team and get them a top. You got Robert Tonyan, you got Darren Waller. They can go, 5 wide, 4 wide with 2 tight ends and a running back and get what LaFleur is looking for. So there's a lot to this, but I will say Aaron Rodgers' value is now up because of Tom Brady being done. What are your thoughts on Tom Brady retiring today?
I think you're right. I think that Rodgers is now extremely valuable. I think that Brady, he's got to have a little regret, right, about coming back for 1 year and all that. I don't know if that was the cause of his family issues. I'm sure there's more going on than just that. But for the year to go kind of the way it did, not as he expected, not as anyone expected, I think that he's got to look back at this and have just a twinge of regret. I looked it up, Ron, 10 Super Bowl appearances for Tom Brady. That's unprecedented. And we'll get into that more with Travis Stevens. But here, let me pose this question to you, Ron, before we get to Travis. Talk about Rodgers. Vikings fans, I think, are ready to rejoice if he gets traded. Oh, he's gone. He's gone. It's over. We're on top of the NFC North again. But, Ron, what if the Packers get a great trade package for him? What if they get multiple first-round picks and they get out from under all that cap space? Should Vikings fans actually be nervous that a Rodgers trade puts Green Bay in a great spot? That could also be like Vikings fans should maybe just say, hey, let's stomach Rodgers for another year or 2 so the Packers can't deal him. And then they don't have as easily of their plan going forward is not as clear. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I will say it does pose, because when you think about the Packers, they have the run game, they have the offensive line, they have the referees, they have the clearly young receivers now, and Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson are really good. You still have Alan Lazard hasn't decided yet, so he could end up a Raider if Aaron Rodgers goes there, or he can end up who knows. But when you think about the capital, and I think that's the key, if they can get draft capital that puts them in a favorable position, their defense was already pretty good. Matt LaFleur, I think that's going to be the key, is can he be Shanahan? Like, can he do, like, is he a true descendant? Can he do what Shanahan did? Meaning, I don't care who my quarterback is. This offense is going to be high-powered. Now, we did notice a huge drop-off when Aaron Rodgers got hurt, but that's no preparation. Now, Shanahan didn't have time to prepare, but he also had a bunch of great quarterbacks in the wait. Jordan Love being an early pick, we thought he would be. Maybe he's not. Maybe they use the first-round pick on a quarterback, and they go get a guy that they think is better in the draft coming up. And they try to really, really go after somebody with a high pick to give Rodgers. Maybe they say, hey, look, Texans, do you want Aaron Rodgers? D'Amico Ryans, do you want Aaron Rodgers? Like, give us a top pick. Now, I don't know if the Texans are like, CJ Stroud, we'd rather have CJ Stroud over Aaron Rodgers, because D'Amico Ryans is like, well, what does my future look like if I get Aaron Rodgers? I'm only going to have him for 2 or 3 years. Is that good enough to like be what the Texans are looking for? When you think about what it could be, yeah, if I'm the Vikings, I'm a little bit nervous as a fan, because then that is, you're like, man, they just got 4 first-round picks or 2 first-round picks plus a second and a fourth for the next year. Yeah, because the Packers have a system when you look at running the ball that can be 49er-esque. Like, I think they have the weapons to become 49er-esque, but with a full offseason with Jordan Love, maybe Matt LaFleur feels like he has enough if he gets the other pieces of the puzzle to really fill in and give him a couple more weapons here and there. So it is something to keep your eye on. It's definitely something to keep your eye on. But again, I think Aaron Rodgers out. I'm betting the money line on the Vikings to win NFC North. Like, I'm going to bet the odds the Vikings win it. I might just bet it now anyway for futures. Like, soon as the Super Bowl is over, if I can find a way to get to Iowa. I know I'm flying out of town on the 15th, so maybe that week when I hit the air, once I start flying, maybe turn on my Wi-Fi and see if it turns on wherever I'm flying. And just try to make the bet on the plane for futures. Like, yep, give me the Vikings winning the NFC North, because whatever the odds are, they're probably going to win it. Because I think Aaron Rodgers is gone. I do. So I want to get the I want to get the odds though before the trade happens, because right now, like you said, the odds are higher on the Lions and the Packers right now. So I want to bet now on the Vikings to win not the Super Bowl, but the North. I want to see if the prop jumps out to win the division. Like, yep, I'll bet on the Vikings to win the division, because now that bet is better, because once Roger leaves, it's going to flip. It's going to be Lions, Vikings, then probably Packers, Bears. But you never know with Vegas. They might still, with Jordan Love, say Packers still have a better chance of making the Super Bowl than the Vikings, because the Vikings are cursed. I mean, we know Vegas is human. And they're also taking the bets. Like, who's everybody betting on? Right now, people are all betting on the Lions because they're high up on the Lions. People are betting on the Packers because they're high up on the Packers. So they're just giving them a better chance. Like, hey, these teams have a better chance. They're just hedging their bet. Like, hey, if you guys are going to keep voting, but betting on these guys, let's lower these odds, because everybody's dumping down on the Lions because of how the season ended. They just feel like with those young people, hey, this could be it for next year. Like, next year or two, we might have a chance to get in the playoffs. Aaron Rodgers leaves, the Lions definitely have a chance to be the 6th, 7th, maybe. I mean, they might even win the division, but they could be the 6th, 7th seed to get into the playoffs. And so, yeah, I wouldn't put it past that. But I'm gonna put my money on the Vikings once Aaron Rodgers leaves, or before he does, because he's gonna leave. And I do feel like Vikings fans could be a little nervous. Like, you can get a little nervous about that, because the draft capital, we know it only takes a couple picks here and there to bump right back up. Like, look at the Eagles in the trade for A.J. Brown, and then a couple big picks on the defensive line and so on and so forth. And now look at them. They're in the Super Bowl. So it only takes a couple pieces. Jalen Hurts was one of them. Everybody didn't believe what he could be, and now look at him. It only takes a couple. You never know. You find that lightning in the bottle, you're in the Super Bowl. But we do have Travis Stevens coming up next in the Hanging with Ron Johnson segment. Former Tennessee Volunteer, former Buccaneer, was with the Buccaneers and went to the Super Bowl. He was in my draft class, so a good friend of mine. So I'm excited to have him join me on the Ron Johnson Show. But remember, check out our Locked On Sports Minnesota podcast on YouTube, following every Twins, Vikings, Wild, or Wolves game. Our Locked On team hosts are broadcasting live with team insiders. And the Wolves right now, you definitely want to check that out, because who knows what the heck they're going to do night in and night out. They went from the 4 seed to the 5 seed to the freaking 9th seed. I don't know what's going on there, but it's going to be crazy down the stretch after the All-Star break. So make sure you check out the Locked On Wolves, as well as never miss a podcast by subscribing to the Locked On Sports Minnesota YouTube channel. And we have a word from our sponsors.
FanDuel brings you today's show. We're really excited to introduce them as our new partner. They're the number 1 sportsbook in America, and they are the way that you can bet on Super Bowl 57 with the no sweat first bet. You'll get up to $3,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. FanDuel lets you bet on everything from the money line to point spreads to who will score the first touchdown. That's Ron's favorite. We're going to be breaking down all those props on this show, and RJ is going to be putting together some parlays. So use the FanDuel app, which is safe, secure, and super easy to use. Best of all, you get paid instantly when you hit that long odds parlay. Join FanDuel today at FanDuel.com/lockedon to claim your no sweat first bet on Super Bowl 57. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
Well, it's time for the Hanging with Ron Johnson segment. I got Travis Stephens in. Travis and I were in the same draft class. We were in the same Hey Rookie Year in the NFL production at the Rose Bowl, looking at old videos. Travis was kind of like me, walking around with the video camera trying to capture footage. I've seen Travis put some old VHS tape footage on Instagram. So when I saw that, I said, man, I got to catch back up with Trav, man, because I remember those days. Him and Marquise Walker got drafted by the Buccaneers. And man, we had a ton of fun as rookies coming out, Senior Bowl, all the other stuff. But I want to thank Travis Stephens for joining me on the Ron Johnson Show. I'm gonna jump out there, man. Like you got some old VHS footage in that locker room, man. I mean, and you look at the names in that group, man. Myself, you, we had Julius Peppers was there, Clinton Portis, because we just had him on the show. So Clinton was down there. You had David Carr, Joey Harrington, Mike Williams, the offensive tackle. We had some big Roy Williams, the DB. We had some big personalities. We had a lot of fun. Antoine Randall was another one of the comedians down there. Jeremy Shockey. When you think back to that time, man, like being drafted to the Buccaneers, coming out of Tennessee, I saw some of your tapes now coming up on Instagram of the Tennessee big time games you guys play versus Florida. What do you remember most about that time after the draft?
Yeah, it's just those memories, man, with the fellas. I just always wanted to get, capture since I was small, my dad always filmed everything, from, 5th grade on or whatever. But I just wanted to continue to have memories of, when I'm done playing or whatever, so I can show my kids, family, so they can see that. So, and I think, that was a hell of an experience that, a lot of people, they can't say that they had, that experience. So I wanted to capture that and share that with, other people, when I get older.
And when you think about the SEC, Tennessee, I know you were bought into it this year. Tennessee was right on the cusp, then quarterback gets hurt. And when you look at now Alabama again, they just got ranked the #1 recruiting class again for Nick Saban. What is it going to take for the power to disperse from not just Georgia, Alabama, and the SEC, or is it always going to, right now at least, it doesn't seem like it's going to be those two teams, and then the rest of the SEC has to figure out the recruits from there?
Well, now I can speak for Tennessee. It's like they really didn't have a foundation. You see, we had like 5 or 6 coaches within the last 10 years or so. So right now, I think we have a good thing going with Heupel. He's did a good thing in the last 2 years. And I believe that right there, you don't want to go to a school that's not, we weren't stable, So now I believe we're stable. We showed within that last, 2 years that we showed progression. And I think, we're on the up and up, from now on with recruiting and being able to compete with the Alabama and the Georgias and so forth.
And you look at the Buccaneers, Buccaneers Super Bowl back in your day, the team atmosphere, all the things. What was it like, being around John Gruden?
John Gruden, he was, he's a smart coach. He was, of course, an offensive-minded coach. He knew his stuff. He was more of I wouldn't say he's a player's coach, but like I say, he was more of he was a coach's coach, So, if you do good, he's with you. If you do bad, he'll cut you out or whatever. But the players, man, it was a good chemistry. You already had an all-star defense. We had maybe about 5 or 6 Pro Bowlers on our defense that year, with Derek Brooks getting the Defensive Player of the Year, and with the offensive system, Brad Johnson, Michael Pittman, Mike Allstott, and all that stuff. Keenan McCardell, Joe Jaravicious, Keyshawn Johnson. That system worked. Gruden knew what he was doing as far as offensive minded. Like I said, the defense was there. So that's why, with the players being able to have that chemistry together, we're able to, come out victorious with a Super Bowl that year.
And you were a part, like I said, you walked in, year one of kind of a flip. Tony Dungy was the coach before that. They flipped it. All of a sudden, John Gruden leaves the Raiders, comes to the Buccaneers. Tony Dungy moves on after getting fired, goes to the Colts. We know the story. Tony Dungy creates one of the greatest Colts teams in Colts franchise history over the next 10, 11 years. John Gruden wins the Super Bowl in his first year with the Bucs. But being in that locker room, what was some of the things that players might have said where it's this is what Tony Dungy did well, or, I don't feel like, what was that transition like for a lot of the players that had already been there? Because Warren Sapp, Keyshawn, those guys had been there for Tony Dungy, and they weren't bad. They just couldn't get over the hump of the NFC Championship to get to a championship, to get to a Super Bowl. But what were some of those conversations like as John Gruden began to build that team?
Right. It wasn't really, like I said, the defense was always there. The defense was good prior to that. And I think the issue was pretty much the offensive side. And so, with Gruden being an offensive minded coach, you saw what he did with the Raiders previous with Jerry Rice and, Tim Brown, all those other guys. So defense was always there. It was just that offensive hump where the Bucs, they didn't have it right then. Mm-hmm. So Gruden brought that there. Of course, the players didn't talk about it, but they knew it. That system was different from was it 2001 to 2002 where we won the Super Bowl. So yeah. Gruden brought that, he brought that offensive fire to the Bucs, and that was really, I would say that was really the thing that got the Bucs over the hump from that, year prior to Tony Dungy being there.
And when you look at the NFL draft, we all kind of went through the same things. You're sitting around, you're going, to these meetings with these coaches. You're sitting around and teams are telling you who you might be with. You're sitting down, you're doing the very stupid interview process with the New York Giants. I don't know if anybody knows the story about the New York Giants, but they have the longest test in NFL history that you have to take, and it's so repetitive, it's so dumb. I'm hoping they've thrown it out by now. But back then that was their psychology of hey, this is what we think an NFL player needs to know, which it was super dumb. It's like if you had 12 eggs, right. And I take half, how many do you have left? It's like
the Wonderlic test. I did awful. They gave you 11 minutes to do the Wonderlic test.
Yeah.
Things like that. So it was a lot of the interview process was it was crazy and it's just nothing to do with football to me. But that's just the way the process was that back then. So I don't know if they do it the same way now either.
And so you get that call because you were a couple picks before me. We were both in the same draft round. A couple picks before me, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and that was the funny thing too because I had talked to the Bucs. I had met with the Bucs. Mm-hmm. They ended up taking Marquise Walker. But I kind of wish I had gone to the Bucs now because they won a Super Bowl. That would have been my Super Bowl first year. Right. But Marquise Walker was drafted first, then you, and then I went. And so when you got that call from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that you were going to be a Buc, man, what went through your head?
Yeah, I mean, it was a relief, man. That's a stressful day. Kind of like you want to, you get calls from I got calls from Dallas, and then my agent was saying that Pittsburgh Steelers was interested in me, and it's a couple other teams, and I know prior to the draft I did visit the Bucs, so showed interest. Gruden was that's the type of running back that I need in my system, whatever, based off of because he coached Charlie Garner. Charlie Garner was a former UT player that running back at Tennessee. Yeah. And we're probably like the same size or whatever, but just getting that call, of course, it was like a relief because I was I ain't gonna say it's a dream come true because I thought it was a fantasy. Really, it was a fantasy. Right. Coming up watching football, people on TV. I just thought I never would do it, but as we played the game, we love it and we became professionals at it, or real good at it, and got the opportunity to get drafted. But when I did get that call, it was a relief, and I was happy. I was a Buc, and another thing, I was glad I got drafted by a team that was in the South because I didn't want to go up north. Of course, we would have went wherever team chose us. But yeah, that was another thing. I was like, man, I'm going to Florida. So, but I was excited, elated.
And when you think about that locker room, man, you know, Warren Sapp, Derek Brooks, John Lynch, Keyshawn Johnson. I mean, you had first rounders, Pro Bowlers, Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
What was that atmosphere like, man, being around, especially that defense, man? They were Rondé Barber, like I mean, Dwight Smith, that's one of my boys. And so Whiteface was down there. I know that. And so when you think about all those guys in that locker room, man, what was that championship mentality like around those guys?
Yeah, you know, first when I come in, I'm like at all like anything, you know, coming into just like, you know, coming into a new atmosphere, you know, and, you know, watching them prior to coming to the NFL, you know, it's like, damn, I've been watching these guys in the NFL, you know, Derek Brooks, you like I said, Warren Sapp, Keenan McCardell, Joe Jaravicius and John Lynch or whatever. So that right there, I was, you know, of course at all. And I was like, man, you know, so, but, you know, it was like, you know, a brotherhood, just like when we met, you know, in the Ricky Symposium, whatever, but it was just like a brotherhood. They accept me, just like, you know, they didn't treat me any different. Just like any other teammate that I had prior to coming there. So it was just, you know, it was an exciting feeling to be welcomed by, you know, former pros.
And think about now, you know, your time in college. And, you know, last one before we jump into a little bit of NFL current talk, you think about college football now and then, you know, now you have NILs, you have all this money players can make in college. What do you think that would have looked like if they had started that? Because, I mean, you look at all the players that got in trouble for stupid stuff like getting free tattoos and, you know, getting a car for a weekend from a rental company for free is illegal in college. What do you think the scope of football could have looked like if they allowed some of that stuff to happen? Because these players are worth that. When you think about a Michael Vick in college, when you think about a Eddie George in college, like those guys were bigger than life in college before they even got to the NFL.
Yeah, because, you know, we making, even in college, they're probably making just as more money for these colleges as, you know, because you see these colleges are bigger, these college stadiums are bigger than NFL stadiums.
Correct.
I do believe that, you know, these players, even back then, you know, we should have been compensated for, you know, using our likeness, because that's what we do. You know, like, you know, I wore 34. So if they selling the number 34 in the stores, you notice they buying it because of me, whatever.
Right.
So off our likeness. But I believe, you know, as, you know, we're young as college players, I don't believe that we should get that money right away. I believe that we should coop whatever money they make off of us, but we should coop it later, you know, later when we're getting our adult, you know, more of a mature adult, you know, because I don't believe college kids should get that much, you know, that much money that early, because it could mess them up, you know.
Right.
They'll be, you know, getting paid basically more than coaches, you know, than coaching staff. So I just believe that, you know, I mean, I wish they would have had it back then, you know, when we were playing, but I don't think that we should coop that money right away. It should be in increments later on when we turn 30 or something. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, no, yeah. Tommy Harris brought that up about, you know, giving young players, because our age, you know, 21, when you think about we were drafted, you know, at the time, you know, $250 to $350 to $400,000 in a check. Just here's $400,000, figure it out. And then the season starts. And then they're like, hey, by the way, here's another, you know, $200,000 or $300,000 for the season. It's like, wait, okay, so what am I doing with this? I get, you know, $600,000-$700,000. And I mean, you remember we went to the Hey Rookie in the NFL. They hand you a $25,000 check just for showing up. Exactly. Like, hey, appreciate you guys coming. Here's a $25,000 check. Here's a PlayStation. Here's an Xbox. Here's some video games. Yeah, whatever you want. And you're right. I think there does need to be some financial, and Tommy calls it, he said he doesn't like the word financial literacy. I agree, because it does make it sound like illiterate. But there does need to be like a financial course for these kids. Like, hey, here's the amount of money you're going to make from NIL, but here's the type of fund we're going to, you know, account we're going to put it in. We think you really need to create a business plan of like, what do you need to spend money on? What's your bills? What do you need to save? So no, I totally agree with that. It's Black History Month, people. It's Black History Month. I got to talk about this. You've played with some black quarterbacks, but there's two, because Tennessee has had them. They still have them. You know, T. Martin, when you look at all the guys that Tennessee's had, black quarterbacks, man, like it's been a stigma in the NFL. And you know that way when we played, black quarterbacks weren't considered like always the best option. Like it was like, oh, well, you know, Donovan McNabb's here. You got this guy here, and you got Michael Vick, but then look at the mistakes he made. You got two black quarterbacks in the Super Bowl, and Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts.
Right.
What do you think that's going to do for GMs moving forward? Realizing a guy like Jalen Hurts, a guy that went through it as far as at Alabama being treated like, you're not good enough to be our starter anymore. Then having to move on, going to Oklahoma, reemerging as one of the top quarterbacks, still not getting drafted in the first round. And now he's about to win a Super Bowl, most likely. What do you think that's going to do for a lot of GMs when you look at CJ Stroud? You look at Bryce Young coming out where there was always that question mark. And then you never question the North Carolina quarterback like Mitchell Trubisky or whoever, but you're going to question these guys. What do you think Jalen Hurts is doing for football now for African-American quarterbacks?
I mean, he's doing a good job. And I think they need to take that, the fact that black and white out of it is just a fact.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a quarterback you can win with, you see how the game has changed from a running game to a passing game more so. So just like with Jalen Hurts, I didn't think he would make it this far. To just be honest with you, coming from Alabama, because the system is different from the system he played at Alabama to now.
Right.
Where most pro systems are different, but they made a system to fit him, and that's what Alabama did. So that's if you can win with a system fitting the quarterback that you choose, whether he's black or white. You should go with him if you're going to win. If that's the ultimate goal is winning, and that's you should knock that stigma of whether he's black or white or whatever. So I believe that they did right by him by fitting something that fit that works with him, so their team could be successful.
And last one before we jump into the Daily 3, that's 3 questions, 3 minutes each. Me and Travis are going to jump into that. When you look at teammates, if you had to go back to teammates you play with, running backs who are Warwick Dunn, whoever it is, what's a teammate that you feel like you've learned a ton from as an athlete, but then also just a man?
I mean, Michael Pittman was a good teammate. Yeah, good. A good mentor coming in at the Bucs. Who would hang out, the camaraderie outside of football. You know what I'm saying? Just to hang out and go to different places and not even talk about football, talk about other things that we do as men.
Right.
So and of course it's other teammates that I hang with as well. Cozy Coleman is a good teammate too. We were at Tennessee together and also at the Bucs. So that's another good teammate that I to this day I stay in contact with others. So I get a lot from different teammates. I just can't isolate one or two out.
Right.
Like I said, it's a lot of us that we grew up kind of the same way, and we shared the same things growing up. So it's just, I don't know, I just can't pick a certain one, but like I said, I've learned a lot from a lot of them.
Right. And last one, Tennessee, man, y'all have some big time games. I mean, the SEC as a whole has big time games, but Tennessee, when you play, y'all have some big time games. What's one of your favorite college football game memories when you think about playing Florida or playing Georgia, playing whoever, Alabama? What's one of your, or it could even be somebody outside the SEC, but what's one of your favorite memories as a college football player?
Of course, the biggest game I had was against Florida because of what was at stake.
Okay.
That was, of course, in 2001 where we played. This is when they had Rex Grossman.
Yep.
They probably was averaging about 50 a game, and we were coming in. We're coming into that game, going to Florida, 22-point underdogs or whatever, and we were just as good. We thought we lost one game, they lost one game, and the winner was going to go to the SEC title game. And with us being I think they were number 2 and we were number 4 in the country, 4 or 5 in the country at the time, and they just the whole what's that? The game day, not game, the game day crew, Chris Fowler, Lee Crosaw, they just doubted us and whatever. So that when they made that announcement, I remember the whole teammate just went up in an uproar in the hotel and about tore the whole hotel up. Like it was just a total disrespect because we were just as good as Florida. That's what we believe. Even though looking as a fan, we would think, of course, Tennessee had no chance of winning the game, but you ain't gonna put us as 22-point underdogs or whatever. So we came in the game and fortunately, I had a good game. I was in the zone, had like 226 yards that game.
Oh, whoa. Put
us in a position to, of course, we won the game and went to an SEC championship game, and we blew it. We ended up being number 2, and we played LSU with Nick Saban was the coach at LSU we ended up losing in the SEC title game. But, that Florida game was a big game as far as, memories that even fans to this day, they keep talking about that as far as, associating me with, that with Tennessee.
Yeah, man, 226. That's a day. That's a workload, man. Like that.
I was 9 carries, so I was like, it was almost 10. It was 9 point whatever yards a carry. So yeah, it was a big game. I didn't expect.
Yeah, you were
focus.
About to say, yeah, you was humping it on that one. That's 19 carries, 226. Man, you would think 226. You like that's 35 carries.
Right.
Like you was doing your thing.
Yeah, it's like in that game, like it was another. I guess what was it? Herschel Walker was I think I was second to Herschel Walker for a running back to ever rush for the most yards against the Florida defense. So
okay,
a historic fact back then. So, but that was something to be, proud of, I guess you can say.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. Always, yeah. I mean, because man, you did something that people dream of. Being in big spot moments, number 2 versus number 4, blah blah. Like, yeah, man, that's something to always like. After talking to Tommy Harris, man, this past off season, and then coming up, getting him on my show, he'll be joining us in the Super Bowl week, people. So when you're looking for the Tommy Harris interview, week of Super Bowl, check it out for Tommy Harris. But yeah, man, he said something profound to me, man. Like, we as men, enjoy what we've done, appreciate what we've done, never be afraid to talk about what we've done, because sometimes people try to dictate what we should say because of what we've done. You know what I mean? So like, if you didn't hit this echelon, you can't talk about this. Or if you didn't hit this level, you can't talk about this. Like, no. I was one of the best college football players in college football at the time. Like, you couldn't do that. So how can you tell me what to talk about and what to appreciate in my life? So, never downplay that, man. Like, I definitely appreciate you. I'll never forget, man, because like there's certain people in my mind that I always remember. And being in California, like I knew the Big Ten guys. Like I knew Randall L because we played against each other for years. I knew Liddell Betts from Iowa. I knew those guys. I had met William Green because of our agents. I knew Akane and Dale from Purdue, so I had all that. Napoleon Harris, I knew Roy Williams because of my agent as well.
Right.
And so like you walking in with the video camera, being loud, trying to like get everybody to be awake and say stuff. And, because those that don't know, like when we got down to Cali, like one of our call times was like 6:40 in the morning. Like I remember getting called at 6:40 in the morning. Bus had to leave at 7 a.m. We had been out all night hanging out, as a group. And you and Randall L, man, I was like, if these dudes don't go to sleep, man, like y'all was like laughing loud, video cameras out.
Man, it was crazy. Randall L was, he was wild, man. Yeah.
Like, he was annoying. He was annoying. Like, oh my goodness. Like, I'll never forget Jeremy Shockey. Jeremy Shockey was up late, and I don't need to tell the whole story, but he made a comment, and Randall L looked at him like, what were you doing last night? And then Shockey was trying to go back to sleep after that, put his glasses on. Randall L kept talking. All you saw was Shockey kind of look over like, man, shut up. Like, just let me go to sleep. And then, and you know how Randall L is. Once he knows he's under your skin, he's just gonna keep making jokes. And so, and then of course, once we get to the Rose Bowl, we get off the bus, all the fans are there, we're taking pictures, and you got, Julius Peppers and all the guys. And so, yeah, man, I look at that picture. I just moved into this house, so I got the office now, but I haven't got the picture up, but I do have that framed picture that NFLPA gave us all. So at some point,
got to hang it up too, right here. Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. Like it was. Like, and what people don't realize too, even that picture alone was hard to get because you had players that wanted to like lay down. You couldn't find half the players because they were over on the other side of the field. Like that was a chore to get that picture taken. And even in that picture, like half of the people aren't looking at the right camera. Like I noticed that later when I looked at that picture.
Exactly. Yeah, you're right.
It's like so many different cameras. People are like looking at different. I'm like, oh man, like you
rushed Mike Williams after that.
Exactly. We all jumped. Yeah, we all jumped on top of him, and because he was being a bully.
Right.
Mike Williams, for those who don't know, I think he played at Texas, right?
I think so. Texas. Yeah. Going to Buffalo.
Yep. Played at Texas. Went to Buffalo. Big, huge 350-pound offensive lineman, and he was a bully the whole week. He was pushing us. And so we all said, you know what? When we take this picture, we're going to jump him because that's the only way we can get him. So, yeah, no, I definitely remember that. But we're going to have Sam is going to join us in the Daily 3. That's 3 questions, 3 minutes each. And we have that coming up. But I want you guys to remember, when you subscribe to Locked On Sports Minnesota, you're getting endless Vikings talk with local experts. Subscribe to the free Locked On Sports Minnesota podcast feed wherever you find your podcast, and you can find all of our videos on the Locked On Sports Minnesota's YouTube channel. And we have a word from our sponsors.
Appreciate it, Ron. Today's episode is also brought to you by Built Bar. If you're looking for a delicious treat, you don't want the fat and calories, you gotta try a Built Bar. They're covered in 100% real chocolate, so you compromise no taste, but you get the nutrition. You're getting only 4 grams of sugar with 17 grams of protein. And you can get the Built Bar in a number of different ways. Built.com, you can order a shipment, use the promo code LOCKEDON15 for 15% off, or you can get your car, drive down to the nearest Walmart, get a 4-bar box, get some cookies and cream, some double chocolate in store near the pharmacy section at Walmart. You can also go to Sam's Club, run in, get the 13-bar box, some churro flavor, some brownie batter. You can get it in person today at Walmart or Sam's Club. You can thank me later. It's Built Bar.
And now it's time for the part of the show I love. Of course, it's the Daily 3. Of course, our war number 3. I love doing things in threes. So we're going to do the Daily 3. That's 3 questions, 3 minutes each. We'll give Travis most of the time, and I'll pick up where he left off. Take it away, Sam.
All right. Tom Brady retired today, so I got a Tom Brady question for both of you. Will any quarterback ever come close to his 7 Super Bowl victories? We'll start with you, Travis.
I believe, I don't think so, because just like with Michael Jordan, do you think there's going to be another Michael Jordan? I don't think it'll be another Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan had more influence on the game, playing offense and defense. And that's why, I believe there'll be a better chance of having a better NBA player to win that many titles than a football player like Tom Brady, because not to take nothing from Tom Brady, but the defense has won a lot of those games too. So, and he only plays one side of the ball. So I don't really believe that there'll be another quarterback to win. Is it 6 or 7 titles, whatever?
7.
Yeah, 7. Yeah, 7. So now I don't believe so, because he don't play both sides of the ball. So you're gonna have to have a defense to fit that, to match that offense. So, but I mean, it'd be tough. I mean, it can happen, but I not in my lifetime. I don't believe it'll happen.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with absolutely not. 7 Super Bowls is a heck of a lot of Super Bowls. The hardest thing to do, because in the NFL, you have to beat you don't have to be the best team. You just have to be the best team that day. And that's so hard to do every year. And a quarterback's going to have to play at least 12 years to make that happen, at least 12 years on a good team. And Tom Brady happened to get lucky, because when he was winning early, he was on his rookie deal. And so Belichick got a lot out of him early. And then by the time he signed another deal, he was already up to like Super Bowl 5. And then he got one late. Then he dipped, and then he got another one with the Buccaneers. And so when you look at how he had to do it, it was a perfect marriage. Him and Belichick were a perfect quarterback marriage of great coach, great defensive mind, quarterback that can control the offense, kind of like Tony Dungy and Peyton Manning. And it was hard for Peyton Manning to overcome Tom Brady. Like, I think if you remove Tom Brady, Peyton Manning and Tony Dungy probably have a chance to win 5 Super Bowls. But he could never beat Tom Brady consistently. And that's what, Tom Brady and Belichick kept Dungy and Peyton from becoming that. Tom Brady and Peyton and Dungy could be a 5-6 Super Bowl champion duo, but they couldn't overcome Tom Brady. And so for another quarterback like Mahomes, like Jalen Hurts, maybe this is his first one, it's going to be tough. Like, if anybody's going to get even 2 to 3, it's going to be Jalen Hurts, because, again, he's on his rookie deal. Nick Sirianni has a really good defense, and so it kind of fits. But, yeah, 7, I just don't see it happening, especially with free agency now, especially with the salary cap. It's just, guys are selfish. Guys want money. Like, you don't see – the Patriots were the perfect storm of players that were willing to play for cheap to stick around and try to build a dynasty. You're not going to have another team, I think, with enough pieces of the puzzle willing to say, well, I'm worth $15 million, but you know what, coach? I'll take 8 for you, or I'll take 7 for you. Tom Brady, hey, I'll take $1 million, coach, and just give me an $18 million signing bonus. You're not going to see quarterbacks and players do that anymore. So I don't know. Sam, what do you think, Sam? Do you think there will be another?
Well, if you're going to win 7, you probably have to be in at least 10, unless you go 7 for 7. I think Brady was in 13 or 12. Like, Brady lost a lot of them too. Brady could have had double digits.
Yeah, Eli took 2 of them from him.
Lost to the Giants twice, lost to the Eagles. Can't remember which other ones he lost.
Oh, yeah, the Philly special. I forgot about that one. That should have been his too. That's crazy.
Yep.
He could have had 10.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And I think he lost at least one more. I can't remember who beat him, but I'm pretty sure he did. So, yeah, it's not going to happen. I don't think it's possible. I got a question for Travis about running backs here. Do you think we're done seeing 2,000-yard rushers, Travis, now that most teams are going to a rotation, they're throwing the ball more? Is the day of the 2,000-yard back done?
Yeah, it's done, man. Unless they go back to the 80s or the 90s, man, it's a wrap. Back then you have to have at least, running back rushing 20 to 30 carries a game in order to get that, that 2,000. And now with this, 2 or 3 back system, at least a 2-back system, that'll be hard to do. You most likely get a 2,000-yard receiving back before you get a rushing running back. Like I said, it's tough, man. That the game of as a running back is physical. You got 11 guys coming at you at all times if you run the ball. So injuries gonna come. Injuries come more so to running backs than any other position. That's just the honest truth. Especially with the passing game system now. That's why the running backs have become more of devalued. So, back in the day, they used to get paid a lot. So, they're not really putting the value on the running back. So it's not, I doubt unless they go back, to the 80s and 90s, it's not going to happen.
This is what I'll say about that one. I think it can happen, but it's got to be a special back. And when you look at this list of 2,000-yard backs, Eric Dickerson still with the 2105. He did that in 16 games. The crazy, though, is Orenthal James Simpson, 2,003 yards in 14 games. He averaged 143 yards. Like, I don't think there will be another 143-yard a game back, which is crazy, but that's what it has to be. You have to average 143 yards a game pretty much to overtake Eric Dickerson's record. And so when you look at 17 games, though, you add one more game, I do think it has to be a special back. When you look at this list, you got O.J. Simpson, Eric Dickerson, Barry Sanders, Terrell Davis, Jamal Lewis, my teammate. I was there for that season. It's annoying, by the way, as a receiver to block for a dude rushing for 2,000 yards. It's very annoying. That was my second year in the NFL. It was boring. It was fun to watch him break records and all. It was not fun for the receivers. Chris Johnson with Tennessee Titans, Adrian Peterson with the Minnesota Vikings, and Derrick Henry with the Tennessee Titans. That is the best of the best. That's elite company right there to be a 2,000-yard back. So who can possibly do it again? I think Derrick Henry can do it again because in the system he's in, Vrabel wants to run the ball. I think if Dalvin Cook goes to a team that wants to run the ball a ton, I think it can happen. I think the Packers possibly could do it because if they get rid of Aaron Rodgers, they're going to become a ground and pound team. And so I do think it can happen. But to Travis's point, yeah, there's a lot of teams that love passing the ball now. A lot of top quarterbacks getting paid to do it. So I don't know. That's going to be tough, but it's going to be one of these elite guys. Like, I don't know if there's a new running back coming out in the next 2 or 3 years that might be coming out. Maybe Bijan from Texas, because I know he's one of a 3-down back. So maybe he comes in early and, in his first 2 or 3 years, he gets it. Because Jamal Lewis did it in his he was a 2001 draft pick, or 2000. I think 2000, he did it in 2003. So it was early in his career as well, because as they get older and beat up, Travis knows as running backs, it's tough to keep pounding like that. Most of those guys did it earlier in their career.
All right, last one, fun one. We're talking a lot about the Super Bowl. With the Super Bowl coming up, I want to know, what was your favorite Super Bowl to watch? Maybe you were a kid, or maybe it was after your playing career. Your favorite Super Bowl to watch, Travis?
Had it been, I think, was it 04, 05 when the Patriots played Carolina Panthers down there in Houston. It was down. Yeah, I think it was 04, the 04 season, I believe. That was an electrifying game because, Deshaun Foster, he was at Carolina, and Steve Smith, they were going back and forth. And I think it came down to a field goal or whatever. But that's, I was down there, of course, with the events, Super Bowl events or whatever. Didn't go to the game, but we, as players, we had that experience. So, but if you remember that game, watching that game was, it was electrifying, exciting to watch. So 04 Patriots versus Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, that was good.
For me, I'm gonna go with the first one is the 28-3, of course. 28-3. We all know what happened. Matt Ryan, Tom Brady. Tom Brady's legacy is just extended to greatness. That was one he probably should have lost. He should have won the helmet one maybe with the Giants and lost that one to the Falcons. But that one for me was just exciting just because of the comeback. And then of course in Minnesota, another one where the Eagles actually pulled it off with the Philly special. Just that whole back and forth. It was super exciting. And one of the reasons was that was the year the Vikings locker room. So whoever had the Vikings locker room had never lost a game. The Vikings had every single game that season the Vikings won at home. And that was the year everybody thought the Vikings had a chance to go because the Minneapolis Miracle, because even that, they won the Miracle game, which they weren't supposed to. What people didn't realize is even though the Patriots were the home team, the Eagles got the Vikings locker room. So that was another weird fact that season, that somehow the Eagles end up getting the home locker room, but they weren't considered the home team at first. And so the home team had not lost a game in that stadium. And it ended up being, when people figured it out, that it was the Eagles that were end up technically having the home field stuff, they won that game. So, but yeah, no, that one for me was another one. Those two were just super exciting games to just, watch, see, be a part of, and just witness it. Like, man, and both were Tom Brady. Like, I think Tom Brady's legacy, it's going to be one, like, it's going to be Michael Jordan-esque. Like, it's going to be tough for somebody to come in this league and just take Tom Brady's legacy out. They're always 10, 15 years from now, we'll be comparing some kid to Tom Brady like we do LeBron to Jordan. And no matter what that kid does, I mean, I know some kid, some seventh grader out there right now, it doesn't matter. He's never going to pass Tom Brady because of the 7 Super Bowls. And so that's the same thing. It's going to be, oh man, this kid just threw for 5,000 yards for 4 straight seasons. But how many Super Bowls does he have? Oh man, this kid just threw for 50 touchdowns. But how many Super Bowls does he have? And I think that's where Jordan sets himself apart from LeBron. And that's where Tom Brady's always going to set himself apart from the rest of these quarterbacks. So, but yeah, that'll do it for us today on the Ron Johnson Show. I want to thank everybody that continues to watch, like, download, share. Travis, before I get out of here, man, I always do this, something I added to the show. If you could give yourself some advice, if you can go back in time, give yourself some advice, what would that be? What would you tell your younger self to kind of either help yourself in the future or just prepare yourself for the future? But what's something you go back and tell your younger self?
It's something I do now, just being consistent and disciplined, discipline what you do, everything positive. But because it's hard, man. It's hard to stay disciplined with these, people I see today, they lose focus. So it's easy to lose focus with all these distractions, with the, this day and age, especially, you got social media. It wasn't like that back then when we grew up. So it's easy to be distracted. So if you have some discipline, and use positive, keep positive people around you, take the leave that negativity at home as far as anybody just, try to bring that to you in your life or whatever. So, shy away from that. So if anything, I think that helped, that helped me at least, along my journey. So it'll cause less problems in your life,
Yeah, I feel you. Appreciate you, man. Thank you for joining me today on the Ron Johnson Show. I want to thank all the subscribers, the listeners, the viewers. We continue to be very appreciative of your support, your time, your effort. Remember, FanDuel, we got it coming up next week. We're going to have the RJ parlay next week as we get going towards Super Bowl. So, the parlay almost hit last week. I got a good one for you guys. We're gonna be really dialed into that FanDuel parlay, and we'll lay it out all next week for Super Bowl week. But that'll do it for today's show. And then remember, if you want endless Vikings talk, make sure you subscribe to the free Locked On Sports Minnesota app on Amazon Fire and Roku on your TV. You can also find it on the Minnesota's YouTube. Locked On Sports Minnesota's YouTube channel. Where you can find all of our videos, all of our shows, instant podcasts after every game, and the Vikings press conferences delivering all the biggest news. Like our videos and leave your thoughts in the comment section below. I want to thank you and have a great day.